What is going on, guys? My name is Tim Ruswick, and today we're talking about PR once again. It's something that I've covered a little bit recently about on the channel because it's something that's got requested, but also because I think it's a really important skill. And the topic we're covering in PR today is handling a crisis. Let's say your game gets published on Steam and it ends up deleting everybody's hard drive. Or let's say, for some reason, some kind of crazy, weird animal porn ended up in something of your website or whatever it is, right? Like some crazy shit happens that you can't possibly fathom, and it happens to you, and then you got to deal with the crisis. So what do you do? Well, here's the biggest mistake that most vast majority of people do. And this happens so much in game development. It's ridiculous because game development tends to be a bunch of solo developer introverts that don't want to face the world. So what happens when the world comes at them angry with pitchforks? They disappear. They go away. They hide. Right? This happened with what's that game? The game everybody hated, No Man's Sky. Right? So what happens? This game gets hyped the hell out of at launch. Right? Everybody thinks this is going to be the most amazing game ever. There's promises out the ass. There's like going to be like it's MMO, procedural generated, epic, massive game. It comes out. There's no multiplayer. It's massively overstated. The hype was up here. The game was down here. And people are angry. They're upset. What does the developer do? He disappears. He just literally disappears. And that is the worst possible thing you can do in a crisis. I am telling you, if you don't control the narrative, someone else will. So in a crisis, whatever the crisis may be about, whatever happens, remember that everyone is looking to you on how to react. And if you don't tell them how to react, they'll find their own ways of reacting, or someone else will tell them how to react. The media, their friends, whatever, Twitter, Facebook. So step number one of responding to a crisis is actually responding to the crisis. Make sure you respond to it directly, right? I mentioned this in a previous video. I don't remember which one it is because I make so many damn videos these days. But PewDiePie came up somehow, and I was talking about how the recent PewDiePie controversy. He said some things on live stream that were really unacceptable. They were really negative, and a lot of people were upset. And the next day, he came out with a video. He directly addressed the problem. He said exactly what happened. And he said, I'm sorry. I don't have any excuse. I shouldn't have done that. It was a shitty thing to do. Boom. He was quick. He addressed the situation perfectly. And he didn't make any excuses at all. He didn't say, well, I really didn't mean it that way or whatever. No, he just said there's no excuse to say that. Like, boom, no excuse. I did it. I was wrong. It was shitty. I'm sorry. And as a result, like, the internet just moved on. Like, we got your back, dude. Like, let's just go, right? Like, I'm sure it's going to come up in the future if something else happens with him. He's always got controversy around him. And every time something new happens, everybody brings up all the old shit. But for his audience, that was enough to just squash everything, right? Like, he directly talked to his audience, told them exactly what happened, that he was sorry, and he didn't make any excuses. That's the correct way to handle a crisis, right? So sometimes, if you look at a lot of these companies, right? Like United Airlines, the crazy shit that was happening with them, right? They pulled a paying customer off of the plane, and he had like a bloody nose and all kinds of stuff. Like a dude that paid for the seat, they pulled him off, and their response was like making excuses for it. Well, that's our, whatever. That was the complete wrong way, right? They defended their position. Everybody was upset. In crises like that, people don't usually want to know why it happened. They want to know that you're apathetic to them or empathetic to them. They want to know that you apologize for it. They want to know that you're going to make things right. Telling people the whole story of why it happened and why you're not at fault is going to make them more angry at you, right? Like, that's not, there are very strong emotions when things go wrong, and speaking to somebody with logic at their emotion is not going to make a difference, right? You gotta address the problem directly and apologize. So no matter what your game does, whatever crisis it is, whether it's around you or your game or whatever, from a PR perspective, addressing it directly, saying that you're sorry, not making any excuses is the great way to kind of solve the problem and make sure that there's no additional problems after that. Not everybody has a solution immediately, because, like, for example, let's say your game does delete hard drives, right? And you find this out. Maybe you don't have any idea how this possibly could happen, and you have no idea how to fix it. Don't wait until you figure out how to fix it to talk to people about it. You should talk to people immediately and say you're sorry, and tell them what your plans are on how to remedy the situation. So, hey guys, really sorry this happened. No excuses. This absolutely should not got past our quality control. We completely apologize. We have removed the game from Steam temporarily. We're working on a fix. We have no idea how to fix this at this moment, but we are working around the clock to make sure that we do. We're very sorry, and we will be contacting any victims of this to make sure that they are taken care of. That is a perfect response. That's a response that shows that you care, that you're addressing the concern directly, that you're making sure that everything is going to work out, and you're making sure nobody else gets caught in that situation. Nobody else is negatively affected by this crisis. If you look at Equifax recently, like, that's the complete wrong way to handle stuff too. Like, they're just, millions of people got hacked, and they're just like, oh, we waited a month and a half to tell anybody. All of your personal information is out on the internet. Somebody has your social security number. They can literally apply for credit cards and loans and do whatever. But sorry, sucks for you. Oh, by the way, our solution to this is to give you access, give you a free trial that you can use to log into our system and, freeze your credit. But at the end of that year of the free trial, we're going to automatically charge you. So basically, the only way to remedy the situation is to pay us more money. That doesn't make any sense from a PR perspective. And they changed their stance after that, right? They gave people free for life, but the damage had already been done. They already did the dumb shit. They already made people upset even more with their response. So any remedies after that is coming back at an even more amplified and angry crowd. So, you got to make sure you address the problem directly. You got to make sure that you address the victims directly. You want to make sure people that know that they're being heard, that you are working on a solution, even if you don't have one so far, even if you don't have something to fix. And just make sure that people know that, you care about them, and you're not just some big conglomerate bullshit that's just going to, like, steamroll over them and not care about their wants, needs, and desires, because we all want to be that person. So last thing on the subject that I want to say real quick is the likelihood of a crisis is very low. If it is something that you're worried about, because I know I was worried about it for a while, I had these insane stories in my head where I'd be like, well, if I publish a game and it does delete a hard drive, everybody's going to hate me, and then, blah, 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 blah. Don't let that stop you. Don't let the fear of crisis stop you. They're 1 in a million. They happen very rarely. And the more likely chance, as hard as it is to hear, it's more likely that no one even notices or no one cares, rather than the internet blowing up against you. So don't let that stop you. But if it does, hopefully this video has prepared you a little bit on how to respond. And I guarantee if you have a response like that and you address the problem directly and you tell people exactly how you plan to fix it, or at least what you're intending on doing, it'll calm the crisis significantly. So if that is your fear, don't have the fear, but if you do have the fear, at least you know how to fix it now. So that's all I got for today. I hope you guys found it useful. Once again, leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this. Do you like PR videos? Should we do more of them? Was this helpful? Was it not? Do you have any questions? Leave them all in the comments below. Once again, I'm Tim Rustwick, and I will see you tomorrow.